Vix could have been forgiven for thinking they were coming to the end of harvest. The Harmonic Ascension Festival usually celebrates the last of the food gathered, and that ceremony had been and gone. The cold snap in spring had delayed the initial planting of the crops. Now it was just the cold of fall that killed the first of the corn. Mackay worked through the night just a few moments ahead of the frost to reap the last of the corn, potatoes, rice, cotton, smoked leaf and psychoid. Mackay had also roused the tribe to gather what she left behind her, for the unrelenting rain from the far above weather device would spoil the produce fast. Once again, Vix's feet, legs, hands, arms and face became splattered with cold mud. The crops had all been planted when Shepherd and her friends were staying and able to pitch in. Now they had a good amount of food, but few hands to work. Thus, Vix was stuck in the mud again. Tomoko was learning a lot from Mackay and was included in helping to plan upcoming construction projects. With Worm nearing term, they had to find a suitable birthing room for her. The current makeshift prison in the tribe was initially supposed to be a small healer's hut. As a prison, it wasn't really fit for purpose, so they planned to have a new, more secure one built. Then, Worm could stay in the healer's hut and raise her baby there. With the huge success of this year's harvest, they also had to make designs to refit the warehouse. Tomoko was a novice miner and even helped to excavate the area where the new prison was set to be built. But she realised how little she offered there, as Shinichi reduced most of the rock to rubble before she had even made a scratch. Seeing his raw strength at work seemed to give more credence to the old dirt mill's tiring sermons. Stumpy was glad to be allowed to stay at Redpine Valley and was appreciative for it. Anywhere safe on Planet Rim as a place you could call home, but the hamlet exceeded his expectations. The walls were well fortified, the stockpiles of leathers and crops were ample, and he could meditate and pray in the glow of a real anima tree. Stumpy had only been at the colony for a few days before a new member, Robinson, was welcomed. The newcomers were better combatants and better spoken than those who lived at Redpine Valley already, but respected the customs and duties of the tribe without fuss. In fact, Stumpy embraced them. He was even given the honour to speak on behalf of the tribe and was able to negotiate reasonable prices from a passing caravan. Stumpy was naturally a nervous person, and Robinson gave him the shivers. The man was not rude or hostile. It wasn't because he had fallen from the sky with no explanation, or because his different religious beliefs. There was just something off about him. Fortunately, there was plenty of company in the hamlet, as yet another new friend was welcomed to the tribe that fall, when a buck self-tamed and was named Supper. Robinson was hiding in his makeshift room in the temple when he heard the shouting. Everyone had rushed in and exchanged their more lethal weapons for bows. He soon discovered why as a blood-soaked Catbaz stumbled into the chamber and picked up Mackay's assault rifle. Since he had arrived 3 days ago, Robinson's previous law enforcement experience was put to good work in his assigned task to warden the prisoners and convince them to stay here at Redpine Valley. A job he couldn't have done very well, as the prisoners were now free. Whether it was because the waster recognised that he wasn't going to take up arms, or whether it was because he had made a positive impression on her since his arrival, the reason for Catbaz leaving him did not matter. Every group living on Planet Rim had different rules and customs. He had been exiled from his previous home for being a cannibal, which was something he was keeping to himself for now. The group here seemed to make time to respect and value each individual, no matter their differences, an idea counter to his own belief to put the collective first. So perhaps they would accept him for what he was. For now, Shinichi was disciplining anyone in sight following the breakout, and Robinson would continue to keep his head down. Shinichi was the wisest and most respected member of the tribe. He held the position of Harmonic Elder to guide all those to ways of peace and love. However, he failed to live up to these expectations following the jailbreak. Shinichi believed himself forced to shoot the heavily pregnant Worm 5 times after she led Catbaz to escape their cells. He blamed the others and let them know it. Shinichi called Vix a wicked fiend, just like her aunt's friends. Without go juice, he said Vix was as slow as her tiny mind. He didn't see what Tomoka was laughing at and told her what a skunk she was, to which she fled in tears. Shinichi didn't know why he bothered to compare his artistic talents to Shorty. The boy had never shown any interest in his craft. The harmonic elder could not even stop himself from insulting his beloved wife, or, after, convince himself that picking on her broad-mindedness made any sense at all. Still, McKay wouldn't let him get away with that, and remarked on the unsightliness of the old dirt mole's crooked nose as she flaunted her own pretty face at him. The day after the jailbreak, McKay accepted a request from Rode Rossi, a yeoman of the Shattered Empire, to build a monument in honour of their terrifying reputation. In truth, McKay had no idea who Rode was, but thought that a common cause could pull the group together. She may have overreached as construction was still underway for the new prison, but that was rapidly completed and Katpaz was transferred over to make room for Worm's birthing chamber. Such productivity did not last long, as the very next day brought a swathe of new problems. On the 15th of April, troubles started in the early hours of the morning when Green attempted his own prison break from the stable and was met with a far more stringent and disciplined response than the previous escapees. Many had actually been looking forward to the 15th, as this was the day that was supposed to mark the end of the fog and rain weather device. But it kept raining. This was too much for Shorty's volatile temperament to handle, when he followed in his mentor's footsteps and began verbally taking out his frustrations on anyone in sight. Vix couldn't handle this herself and flew into a sadistic rage before easily being smacked down by the heavily pregnant Worm. In a twist of fortunes, Vix's mishap may have inadvertently caused Worm to go into labour the following day on the turn of winter. That finally heralded the end of the rain. 5 crammed themselves into Worm's birthing room to act as both witness and security. Stumpy was so nervous he misinterpreted basic instructions to fetch the superior bed, and instead starting escorting the pregnant Worm away from the prepared room. When Worm was eventually placed in the appropriate bed, she was well into the process. Vix handled the procedure with confidence, and, when healthy baby Ibis cried his first, all in presence let out a sigh of relief. In all the mayhem of the last few days, and the shroud of rain, no one had realised quite how cold it had become, until later that night a turkey was found in the paddock, dead from hypothermia. McKay felt reassured that, despite the cold, their preparations would facilitate an enriching environment for the infant Neanderthal at Redpine Valley. Really did lose track of the temperature in this one, and Katpaz almost lost some fingers. So that was actually probably the least to happen to the prisoners in this episode. I wonder what would have happened if Worm had got hit with an arrow to the pelvis. Still, lucky he didn't, I suppose. And yeah, so it's been 95 days that the tribe has survived now.